Hi, this is Renaud here. This little tutorial is to show you how you can share your iPad's screen or your student's iPad's screen to your MacBook. And obviously, if your MacBook is connected to a projector or to a smartboard, everything you see on the screen will be on the smartboard and or the projector as well. Now, on the Mac, we've installed an app called AirServer. AirServer would normally appear in your menu bar at the top. It looks like that square or rectangle with a triangle pointing up. It's a little bit different from the AirPlay icon that you might have or might not. But this one here is the one we're looking at with the triangle at the top. Now, if you don't see this, maybe AirServer is not started. So you can either find it inside of your Applications folder, or if you click on the Spotlight icon, you can start typing AirServer and you will see it in the results. And I can see here it's in my Applications folder. I can just click on it and it will launch it if it's not already launched. So that's really all there is to it on the Mac side of things for now. What I'll do here is I'll go on my iPad. I want to show you how you tell your iPad to share its screen to the Mac. But obviously right now you're not seeing anything that's on my iPad because it's not being shared. So what I'll do is I'll start the process and I'll show you how I've done it after. I'll just say to mirror this, and magically you will now see my iPad screen. As I move around, you can see what's happening. Now, right now it's inside of a window. I can make this window larger, or I can just put it full screen. Now notice one thing that's really neat. If you've used an Apple TV before, you know that once it's projecting, it's hard for students to know where you're touching the screen. This is the same thing. If I want to show somebody how to launch an app, let's say I want to launch the Maps app, well, I can tap the Maps icon, but you're not going to see where my finger is unless you look at the Maps icon at the top, and you will see it becomes dark. I'll just get out of there. But if you're running through your Mac, notice that my mouse pointer is visible. I can't click on the screen, obviously. This is not the iPad screen, it's just an image. But I can point to things and indicate what I'll be doing to make things clearer. Now, as soon as I move the mouse out of the way, the controls will go away. So, just to get back to the iPad and how to activate screen sharing on the iPad, basically you double tap the home button, tap, and you will see the multitask bar. You might be familiar with this. It allows you to see the recent apps you've launched. It doesn't mean they're running, it just means they've been launched recently. They might be running. And then you can move to by pushing things to the left and see what's been running previously. If I go to the other side, so if I move things to the right, I push things to the right, I see these controls. And there's a few controls there, but the one I want to focus on is that blue one there. It's the AirPlay icon, very similar to the AirServer icon that I showed you before. Yours would not be blue. It might not even be there. If you are not connected to the same network as your MacBook, you'll not see this icon. If both of the computers are connected to the same network and AirServer is running, you will then see this icon. You'll also see it if you have an Apple TV on your network. It's the same tool. It works the same way. There's nothing to install on the iPad. So here I can see if I tap this icon, I can see I could either project my iPad screen onto itself on the iPad, meaning don't project really, just use the iPad screen. I have an Apple TV. I could send my image to the Apple TV and it would appear on whatever is connected to the Apple TV. You might have that in your classroom. That happens. I see an Airport Express called Salon here. That's my Airport Express in my living room. It just does sound, so I see there's only a speaker. I'm not going to bother with that. And then I can see Teacher MacBook, which is my MacBook. And when I select this, I have the option of mirroring or not. Mirroring means show me everything I'm doing on the iPad. If you don't turn mirroring on, you're not going to see the full content of the iPad. You will only see some content when you play it. So if you start a movie, for example, or if you start a keynote presentation, things like that. So some apps allow to project content, but it's not going to show the whole thing from the iPad. So mirroring on means everything I do on the iPad is mirrored onto my screen. I will see everything. So now I can just go back to the home screen and you continue seeing everything that I've done before, and I can decide to go into some neat application of some sort. Let's say iStop motion, or explain everything, or Pages, or Keynote, or whatever. And whatever app I'm using, I can see. Wow, you can see me recording right now because I've got the built-in camera. Hey there, and that's it. So there we go. So that's how it works. It's really, really simple. Now there is one thing that you might want to know. Let me get out of AirServer. I can click on the X on the left, or bring the screen back to a smaller size if I want to keep it around. I'll go to AirServer at the top here. So this is a menu, and you can see a few things, check for updates and things like that. The important one is Preferences. And inside of your preferences, there are just a couple of things I want to point out. The first one is you can change the name of your computer on the network. You want this to appear as Teacher MacBook? Fine, it could be, Peter's MacBook or whatever. You can choose. And you can choose to set a password or not. Or you can actually say, ask me, or there's a few options there that you could try out. But really what this means is that students that are also on your same network can actually share their iPad screens with you. And you might want this. You also might want to control this somehow. So it's a bit tricky. So right now I've got a password set up. So you enter the password once, and then you're allowed to do it. Or you can say ask me or whatever. I'll turn it off for now. But this also means, remember, that a kid that's outside of your classroom will also see your machine. So somebody in the hallway might say, hey, let me broadcast something from my iPad. A teacher might not know. So you might want to control this somehow. So that's a very important one, changing your name and setting a password if you like. Now I want to show you something else here. So I've got my iPad that's still going on here. I'll use my iPhone. This could be another iPad if I had one handy, and I'll do the same thing. Now remember, just so you know, not every iPhone can do this. You need a iPhone 4S, but if you have another iPad, you can also turn on AirPlay. It's a similar system, similar icons. It just works, and you can display both devices. And you could actually add more. So depending on the network performance, it will detect if you can add 2 or 3. So maybe you can have a contest, and you can have a couple of students showing their results at the same time. Or maybe you're showing something from your iPad and from a couple of students' iPads, all at the same time on your computer screen connected to your projector. So this is a very, very neat tool. It works really, really well. You're going to be using this day in, day out for sure. And hopefully you'll find this tutorial useful in learning how to share your screen using AirServer.